Gonna get started. The clock says 6 o'clock, but we have confirmed it is 5 o'clock. We have fallen backward an hour, so you're all here on time. Just like with all of our meetings, we'll start. Thank you all for being here, and we will hear from all of you today. But we do always start with a public forum. If there's anything that any of you would like to get up and share, we'd be glad to hear it. You can just bend it up, yeah.
Stan Reed with Ames Community Theater. And we're excited because on Thursday night, we open Avenue Q. And we had a little mishap last night. Princeton lost an eye.
Oh, no.
So I've been on the phone all day with the puppet people, finding out how you put eyes back on puppets. But he'll be whole by the time we get to Thursday night.
Okay.
So come on out. It's going to be an awful lot of fun.
Thank
And
you.
we run for 3 weekends.
Great. Thank you. Stan, Steve just made a comment about the show that goes wrong, or the play that goes wrong that you did before, with the eye popping off. Like it's just a repeat of that. It's an extension.
And did you see the play that goes wrong?
I saw it in London.
Yeah.
So did
I missed it here.
Anybody else want to share for the public forum? All right, thank you. We'll move on to approving the October meeting minutes, which were emailed to everybody prior to today's meeting. So if there are any changes or corrections, we can talk about them, or we just need a motion to approve them. Thank you. And a second?
I will second.
Thank you. So all those in favor of approving the October minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right. So now getting into the bulk of why you all are here, we are going to be conducting the 2024-25 annual grant hearings. And so I'm just going to call groups up based on when you signed up in order. With the city manager's office, we tend to move a little bit faster than this schedule. And so if somebody isn't here when I call them up, we'll just kind of come back to it when a representative from their organization does arrive. So this is just your chance to come up and just give us a little brief summary of your application and talk about your organization, and then the application for CODA funding. And then we'll open it up to the commission to ask any questions that maybe have come up in reviewing the application. So the first group is Ames Choral Society.
Hi, I'm Steve Hoyfeld, and I direct the Ames Choral Society. I'm in my 42nd season with them. The group started, this is our 60th year because the group started in 1964, but they didn't have the first concert until 1965. And over the years, all of the directors have tried to provide an opportunity to perform high-level choral music, sometimes with instruments. We performed the Missa Gaia by Paul Winter last spring, and we were able to hire in some really excellent musicians to do that. One of the things for us, one of the main reasons that we seek funding is for instrumental accompanists of one kind or another. We have a pianist who accompanies the choir for rehearsals and most of the concerts. And a few years ago, I suppose it's actually more than a few, but we added a summer concert into the mix. So we have 4 concerts that we do every year. And one of the concerts is performed twice. And it's our Pops concert in February. And it gives the members of the group a chance to do solos that they maybe wouldn't have another opportunity to do. Anyway, this season we are doing in December the Looks, The Dawn from On High by Dan Forrest, who is a contemporary composer. And it's a 5-movement work. We're hiring 30 instrumentalists to be a part of that. And so it's a big expense, I would say. But we have been fortunate over the years to have generous donations, and so that has helped to offset some of the cost. It's going to probably cost around $6,000 in the end for the orchestra. And let's see what else I'm going to tell you about that. We're doing a piece by Beethoven, and we're doing another piece by Berlioz. So 2 works that are from lesser performed works, but they are choral works, and so we don't have any soloists. We're not doing the entire other pieces, but anyway, Lux will be a very exciting piece. The singers have gotten really excited in hearing recordings of the work. Next year, we're looking at a piece by an English harpist that is not published, so it has to be rented from the harpist. But it was brought to my attention by Barb Evenson, who's our accompanist, and she's also a harpist. So she plays folk harp around town and teaches harp. But she said, I don't know how long my fingers will still work to do something like this.
Yeah.
So she has put in her request for that. I think to purchase the rights to perform the music and PDFs will be $500. Then we'll also have to print off the music. So that's kind of a big expense. It's probably about 80 pages for each of the singers. So I have not done the math on that, but anyway, it's a really neat piece, and it's just harp accompaniment, and it works for either folk harp or for concert harp. We haven't really planned anything specific for the spring concert for next year, but it usually will feature things by composers whose anniversaries are coming up. Anyway, so that's kind of the long and short of it. We appreciate the assistance that we've been given by CODA through the years, because we would not have been able to do a lot of these major works without that additional funding. So,
Thank you. What questions do you have?
oh, it's nice.
I don't think I had any application questions. So
Okay.
thank
It's
you very much.
nice when I explain everything.
You did such a
clearly.
great job. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, next is Good Company.
Just stay there.
I
I'm here for
figured that's why you signed up back to back. It
Yep.
makes sense.
Hi. I'm Ellen Rasmussen. I'm the president of Good Company this year, and I usually try to come to these things this year. We are coming off last year, a very exciting year, thanks in part to a special grant from CODA, which allowed us to redo all our photography. We have one of the cool things I've noticed about Good Company, and I've sung with them for about 10 or 15 years, is that our age mix is sort of slowly shifting. And we're getting more and more younger singers. And these women understand social media, they understand marketing, they understand all this. And so they are kind of setting us on a new path with that. And it's really been tremendous, sort of the response that we've gotten. We live streamed our first concert last spring, and moving ahead to this next season, we intend to do all of that. It's sort of like wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. And it's working for us. So I think it brings a sense of vibrancy to the group. And it's allowed us then to move forward as well with a new plan to have an outreach choir. So part of our mission has always been to take our music out and bring people in to enjoy our music. This will give us kind of an in-house built-in mechanism for doing that. So we'll have a identified set of singers who are prepared to work extra, go to events, community events, public events, retirement facilities, communal living facilities, with the goal of both sharing the music and bringing it to people who maybe can't or wouldn't otherwise come, and to make us more visible and, of course, sell more tickets. I'm going to let Steve talk about the music we're doing because he does that in a much better way than I do.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that there are actually singers younger than I am, but anyway, we performed an unusual concert last spring. It was a pops concert, so we hired in basically a rock band, and that is not a normal choir concert for us, but it was well received. There were even people dancing the aisles. Well, in December, we are doing a piece for 2 violins, tambourine, and bongos by a Hungarian composer. And Jonathan Sturm is playing one of the violin parts. Julie Fox Henson is playing the other violin part. So I feel very fortunate that they just said yes, because I was asking if they knew of somebody who they could recommend. This is really kind of a mix. It's a sort of a concert of jewels, because we're doing a song by Sarah Bareilles, who wrote Waitress, among other things. And it's called Winter Song. We have a couple of pieces that are also going to be accompanied by Jonathan Sturm and Julie that are for violin and cello accompaniment. And we're doing a gospel piece that calls for some wind instruments and, again, kind of a rock band called And Suddenly by Michael Engelhardt. We also are performing Gaudete by him, which has a lot of clangy percussion on it. So it's going to be a kind of a raucous and quiet concert, because one of the pieces is called Cradle Hymn, and it's a lullaby. So probably should save the pipes and brake plates and all that stuff for, before the cradle song is sung. But anyway, so it's going to be something really unusual, a lot more outside instrumentalists participating than we've had in the past. So,
and the obviously the funding from CODA allows us to not only purchase the music, it will help us support this new outreach choir, and it pays for all these instrumentalists, which we kind of see, as the board has discussed it, that the more we can extend an opportunity for instrumentalists to perform, we think that's really a piece of our mission as well.
and it also draws in audience members who
Right.
are curious about stuff, who maybe would not attend a choir concert. But anyway, both are going to be fun concerts, Choral Society and Good Company. So
Questions?
Sounds good.
Good.
I think we're good.
Thank you
you
very much.
both. All right, up next is Ames Youth Choir.
Hello. So Ames Children's Choirs, now we refer to ourselves as Ames Youth Choir. So we were not immune to the societal, financial, and organizational burdens of COVID-19. But singing is an innate part of humanity, so we adapted and moved forward. And we are happy to announce that this is the first semester that all of our singers are 100% face-to-face. Took us a while to get to this point, but we don't even set up laptops anymore. It's amazing. We are excited to share that we have reached a point of membership stability, and we're growing again after surviving several seasons of uncertainty because of the pandemic. The directors and board have also emerged with a renewed energy as we are focused on envisioning the future of our organization. Ames Youth Choir has been renamed. Oh, I just said that. And we still house the 3 choirs for singers ranging from 7 to 18 years old. And we are updating our logo, website, and even uniforms with hopes of attracting more singers and becoming a more inclusive place for all children, whether they are small or big. While working toward these changes, we've had to relocate to a new rehearsal home. This is costing us over twice what we have been paying, but costs have increased for everyone. So we will rise to the financial challenge, especially with the appreciated help of any CODA funds. With that said, our upcoming events have included and will include caroling for senior residences in Ames and out to Story City, local tours at schools and senior residences. Last week, we got to expand our repertoire and include water conservation songs as we adapted the Water Rocks material for a choral setting. And we got to sing for the Fall Iowa Association of Naturalists Conference, which we received the best standing ovation that we've gotten in a long time. Those people can rock. It was very fun. We'll be doing the Good Neighbor Benefit Concert and, of course, our winter and spring concerts. We're back up with all of our festivals, including Meet the Composer. We're doing our Celebrate Singing Festival for 4th through 6th graders this coming spring. And next year, we're hosting another Midwest Children's Choir Festival where we hope to commission a piece in addition to bringing in a fabulous conductor. And then we also get to participate in this year, the 28th International Festival of Women Composers. So we have a lot going on, and we're very excited about all of these updates and revisions to ourselves, and we look forward to seeing what happens in the future. And we are deeply appreciative of any support that you can provide so we may continue to thrive as an organization.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing those updates. What questions do we have?
Yeah, I have. Do you have any solo voices in your programs for children? Sing a solo?
Yes, we have solo opportunities, definitely. It is choral, but within some of the songs, we have solo opportunities. And the singers have recently been begging to do some more pop songs, which would allow us to have even more. I mean, we do pop songs, but they want like a pop concert. So yes. So that will be another opportunity to have solo. We're hopefully doing a, what's the holiday? Valentine's Day outreach thing that we're still collaborating with the singers on. That'll likely also include some solo opportunities. So
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Good.
I don't think we have any more. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Right. Ames Desi Drama Association.
Good evening, and thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk a little bit about a relatively new organization, the Ames Desi Drama Association. We've been around for a year, and this is our first year of applying for CODA funding as an organization. So our goal is to enrich the cultural tapestry of Ames and its neighboring communities by offering high-quality, family-friendly theater from India. To enhance the cultural diversity and impact on Ames. So if there's one thing we've learned during the pandemic, it is that we're all now used to seeing a lot of shows on Netflix and Prime that are in languages other than English. And one of the reasons, if you look at the top 10 shows in Netflix in the US today, a couple or three of them are from are in other languages other than English. And they've been successful in terms of marketing those to the US audience because of the presence of subtitles. So that is one thing that we've worked really hard with our plays on. In the two plays that we've done already, we had English subtitles in both our plays. And one of them was actually a partnership with a professional play group from India, which had never experimented with subtitles. And so they were actually quite nervous with how subtitles are going to work. And we proved to them that it could work. And not just that, they had 10 other shows in the US after Ames, and they took our subtitles with them in order to broaden, again, those plays to audiences beyond traditional audiences that went to these India-based theaters. So our goal with CODA funds, we have three main goals. If we are fortunate enough to receive CODA funds, the first is we've had some networks with professional artists from both Chicago and India, and we'd like to have workshops and collaborations here in Ames that would bring those artists here so that we could audition and get a wider range of adults that would participate in our plays. So that's our first goal. The second is to for production costs that are associated with our plays. So these would be set and sound design, costume, and stage rentals. And then the third would be marketing. So we are very passionate about the ability of theater to unite and offer diverse opportunities for our community to come together even more. And our limited success that we've already had with our 2 plays leads us to believe that we can do this even more powerfully now, especially with this kind of collaboration and training. So our goal is to, again, reach out as broadly as we can, partner with other organizations. In our first play, we were very fortunate to get a lot of partnership with Story County Theater. And we're also fortunate to have partnerships with the India Cultural Association of Central Iowa, as well as with Iowa State University student clubs. So again, this brings a wide range of organizations in partnership that helps us market our events and then bring more people to come to our events. So thank you again for the opportunity for applying for Coda funds, and very happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions? I just had one question about your budget, and I was just curious about why you were anticipating such a large drop in your donation revenue.
We're not anticipating a large drop. We were new originally, and so we had to reach out more into our organization to get donations, which pretty much stood up our second play. So with partnerships and leveraging, we're hoping to have a more equitable distribution of funds. We have a lot of passionate people in the community, so we hope that those estimates that we provided were actually on the lower side, because especially if we do more than one play, we expect that our budgets would be much higher. But we're very fortunate, again, to have people that are very generous here in our community.
Thank you. Anything else? No? All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks again.
India Cultural Association is up next.
Good evening. My name is Shivani Chaudhary, and I am the Secretary of India Cultural Association of Central Iowa. We have been active in Ames for almost 30 years now, and we have been receiving support from you guys, the Coda Grant, which has made it possible for us to organize different cultural events, which could be educational, social, include arts, music, and everything. So last year, we had a stand-up comedian come up from India for a celebrity event, which was a huge success. We have a membership base of close to 240 to 250 people, and our aim is to sort of disseminate our culture and heritage and foster an appreciation of diversity among the Ames and Central Iowa community. We also organized an ICA Mela, which translates to ICA Fair, where we displayed different styles of music from India, our handloom, artworks, paintings, and we also have different dance styles displayed there, which was again attended by different people from the all the communities, the non-Indian and the Indian communities of Ames, which was a huge success. And then we recently had a cricket tournament organized. It was there were around 60 participants in this event, not including the audience, and we had participants from over 9 different countries, including India, Pakistan, America, Australia. It was a huge success. People from all age groups enjoyed it. And for our upcoming events, we have a celebrity event in which we are having classical music artist. He belongs to northern part of India, and he's going to come in, and we are expecting attendance of over 150 to 200 folks, and we are hoping that everybody will enjoy that. So the bottom line is that to organize all these events, we need funds, and we have been very appreciative of the funds that we have received over the years, and we are hoping that you guys will continue supporting us in all our expenses that are needed to organize these events. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
No.
No, I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dance Center Dancer Company Foundation.
Hi, my name is Melissa Ullman, and I'm the board treasurer.
And I'm Molly Neal Wong. I'm the board president. We are here to talk about our annual showcase event and seek funds for that event. And this is something that is, it includes about 34 performers, ages 5 to 18. They're part of the Dance Center Dancer Company, which is a pre-professional dance company. During the showcase, they will be performing lots of different styles of dance, from ballet, tap, jazz, contemporary, and musical theater. And the funds that we're seeking would cover rental of we have the event here at the City Hall Auditorium. So it would cover the rental fee, which includes janitorial services, live streaming the event, and then technical support. We would also supplement, if possible, some of the advertising costs for the event. And then one other thing that I think is kind of a cool aspect of the event is we bring back some alumni who have graduated and moved on to college or are working in the dance world. They come back and they are our MCs for the event. They talk about the program, talk about what it's meant to them. And so it's kind of a cool thing to have that alumni coming back. Anything you want to add? Do you have any questions?
No.
It's usually about a 3-hour event, and we do have with an intermission in there.
One more thing to add. We do have a significant volunteer effort towards our group where we raise a lot of funds externally through other fundraisers. And we do have a full crew of parents that volunteer at the showcase event helping run it. And the funds allow us to make this event free and open to the public so that the barriers that normally come with being able to attend a premier art event are eliminated with the ability to make this a free event. So we appreciate receiving anything that we can from this organization.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Story Theater Company.
Good evening.
Hello.
I'm Sue Ann Peters with Story Theater Company, a children's theater company here in Ames that reaches our community and beyond. We will have this year, we plan to do 3 family-friendly full-scale productions at the City Auditorium. And we also plan to do a full-scale teen show, which seems to be expanding and growing in audience and interest. So we're excited about that expansion of that, and as well as having non-auditioned workshops, clubs, and special events throughout the year, which we've been continuing to grow and expand with your support. We really appreciate that. So we're hoping to increase our programming and continue to try to meet the needs of what people want for kids and availability in Ames. We're really excited to see many new faces, especially younger kids. We're getting a lot of feedback. We've really reached down into the 5 through 18-year-olds and have seen a lot of interest in meeting that need as well. We really are excited to continue our mission of educational theater opportunities for kids and making our theater events accessible to all as well. We'll continue with the pay what you can ticket pricing, which is working really well. We know in our budget for this year, a lot didn't necessarily change. There's just a general 5% increase in operations, just the normal rising costs of what's occurring in our economy. And we really want to strive to keep fees reasonable and accessible for families and young kids and affordable. So we aren't really aiming to get a big surplus at the end of the year. We're just trying to balance our yearly budget and come in on budget. So that's all I really had to share. But thank you so much for your continued support of our programs and our outreach events, and our large scale productions, and sometimes our smaller scale ones too are going well. So we're excited about that. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. Any questions?
No.
No? I think we're good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, up next is actors.
I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Lynn McElrath. You were probably expecting Stan, but unfortunately you get me. I am the first vice president this year for Actors, and thank you for letting me present to yourself. We are an organization that has been in Ames for 68 years now. I think it's the third oldest community theater in the state of Iowa, so I think it's kind of a neat reflection on us that we've been able to continue even through the COVID years. We are a 100% volunteer organization. We have no paid staff. So each year our goal is to
You're fine.
is to basically break even with everything that we do. All of our productions, we do 5 each year, are always budgeted to break even. Any income that we raise during those productions is put back against the production in paying royalties, set construction, costuming, any sound equipment, anything that we have. Anything above and beyond that is usually what we are requesting CODA funds for, is for the overhead, for the repairs and maintenance for the building. I don't know if any of you have been out there lately, but we are really excited because we just put on a brand new addition. And that was, we were able to do that through generous donations from the community. If you look at our donations this year, you will see a drop off on that. And that is because everyone has finally finished their requirement of paying out their donations. So there is a drop this year as far as donations go in our budget. We are also anticipating rising costs as far as upkeep on the building now. Several of us are getting on the upper end of the age limit. We don't like cleaning toilets as much as we used to, or vacuuming or shampooing the carpets. So we are anticipating this year reaching out and hiring an organization or a business to come in and just do general maintenance and upkeep within our building, especially since we have the new addition. We want to make sure we keep it updated. Also with that, we've had some members that have moved away, and they were the people who kind of oversaw our electrical and our sound systems and all. I anticipate we might have to start paying to have some people come in and pay, repair or just even maintain our sound system. We generally try to keep our prices for our shows as low as we generally can, so we can get everybody that is possible to get in to see our shows. We are open to anyone to come and audition. We don't limit anybody to come and audition for any of our shows at all. I'm trying to think. Do you have any questions? I do generally do better on questions.
Sure. What questions do you have?
No, really.
She answered myself.
Yeah. I just had one question about, especially I think I was just formulating it as you were talking about having to hire in some people to do that work, which makes a lot of sense. I'm just curious why does Actors have this commitment to 100% volunteers as opposed to considering, especially with the assets you have, hiring a staff person to manage?
Well, one thing about that is, and it's not that we haven't had discussions about that. We have had discussions about hiring someone in the past. When you hire that individual, then you need somebody who's going to oversee payrolls. You need to have somebody that's going to make sure tax returns get done. You need somebody there who is going to oversee what they do each day. Who's going to be their manager? Who's going to oversee what they do? I think we had tried that in the past and it didn't work out real well. So the volunteer aspect of it, while we realize it does create some hardship in certain areas once in a while, we find that the people who are volunteering are very committed to the organization and wanting to do the best that they possibly can to make sure we succeed in everything that we do. So, and we got little people, or not little people, but people that can come in and, that oversee our accounting and all that stuff. We do have a firm that we work with here in town. So
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? All right, I think we're good. Thank you.
thanks.
Ames International Orchestra Festival Association is up next.
Good evening, I'm David Stewart, and I'm here on behalf of IOFA. And first, I'd like to say thank you for all the support we have received from you over the years. And if any of you attended the performance of the symphony orchestra concert that was on the 24th of this month, it was really a joy to hear Latin American music performed by a Latin American orchestra. And if you were there, they're fabulous. So we are sponsoring in February of 2025 the Czech National Philharmonic Orchestra, which is in the spring in February. And we have noticed the last few years that it seems a little easier to get audiences in the spring than it does in the fall, since there are so many activities going on in Ames in the fall, and everything just seems to coalesce at the same time and make it difficult. So we are pretty excited about that. I have everything, I think everything is there in the application. Mostly that was put together by Tammy, who is sitting in the back of the room. Thank goodness for her. Do you have any questions?
Just have for my own edification, do you know how many people showed up on the 24th?
I did not get an exact figure from that. It was as well as we could expect. You might be
Tammy
able to get some
seems to have a
information from
contribution to that question.
Yeah, we had about 400 show up, and we did reach out again. We as David said, we thought we'd try the fall just to see, because we had been hearing some of our snowbirds disappointed we were doing in February, March. Well, obviously the snowbirds were there, but maybe not as many other people as we would have liked. But we did this past time reach out to Ames Gilbert high schools, the bandmasters. We did a reach out in Marshalltown and Perry because of the nature of the orchestra that was really good. So 400 paid, and then a few extra that hadn't paid.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
I do. I see a surplus for your revenue. What do you plan to do with that?
Basically, it is just used to defray expenses. One of the reasons we are using orchestras from South America, Central America, and Eastern Europe is because American orchestras are prohibitively expensive. They have not toured very much in the last few years, probably because of COVID. But the last one we had was the San Francisco Symphony, which was wonderful. But there were a couple of prodigious donors who made that possible. And so the orchestras from Latin America and from Eastern Europe, when they're on tour, it's easier to get them at a reasonable price, I think. And it's nice to hear, they always play music from their cultures. And it's nice to hear people from a particular culture who are professional musicians playing their music. Different take, different spin.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's it. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
All right. Ames Community Arts Council.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jen Brockpaller. I'm the director of the Ames Community Arts Council. Thank you so much for being here this evening and considering our application. The Arts Council is an umbrella organization. We try to represent and have a relationship with a lot of the artists and arts organizations in the city. So day to day, we do lots of different things. Some highlights of our year include our monthly gathering of artists, which we have scheduled to begin again in January. COVID was hard on that particular event, but we have things on the calendar, so it's coming back. We do the studio tour in the fall. If you're not familiar, about 10 to 20 artists open up their home, allow people to come in and watch them make art. We hope that they sell some pieces along the way. We have the Arts Awards in the spring where we honor 10 to 12 folks who are doing good things in the arts for the particular year. The Business of Art Conference has become one of our flagship opportunities. That's a partnership with the Octagon Center for the Arts where we do a day-and-a-half workshop for artists in the region. We've drawn from out of state for that particular event, so we're really excited about that. We have plans of expanding it to a 2-day event in the coming year, and I'm sure once we go bigger, we don't often go backwards, so we're hoping it will be bigger again in 2024. We just added World Collage Day, which was just a partnership. Someone called and the date was available, and now I think that will also become an annual event for the Arts Council, and that's a great. Last year, we did it in a small space. This coming year, we plan to host it at the Ames Public Library, which will increase our audiences and our ability to have more people attend. So we're excited about that expansion. We, of course, have the Music on the Move, which started during COVID, where we can bring music to the people on a bike, which is almost more of a novelty. The music's always good because Ames makes good music, but the bike is what catches people's attention, so that's a lot of fun. Every other year, we offer arts and education grants, and in general, we serve artists, nonprofit organizations, businesses, and on a good day, the entire community. So that's in a nutshell what we do. I always feel like we should do more, but I'm not sure when.
I was going to say, I don't know how.
So are there any questions about the application? Any questions? Yeah.
No question. Maybe it's just my copy, but under expenses other, I don't see any sort of itemization.
Yeah.
Did it not just show? Did it?
No, it's empty.
Oh, strange. All the things.
It seems like every year there's been a bit in there, so I don't know if it's
I'm sure it's a
recurring.
I just left it off.
Air for the bike tire.
That's strange. If it's okay, I will look it up and email Brian.
That would be
just
Yeah.
so I don't make something up and get it wrong.
Sure, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. KHOI is next.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your support of arts in Ames and keeping the arts alive in Ames. Specifically, thank you for your support of KHOI in the past and consideration of our application today. I think the application's pretty straightforward, where we are looking this year for support for a concert at Stevens Auditorium. So Tammy, you may as well have just stayed up here. But that would be a return to our annual concert that we were unable to do last year. And that is basically a fundraiser, but being able to bring in a more regional to national act and use that as a fundraiser for KHOI. We also are asking for support for our Studio C intimate venue activities, and we've used the last year as a group of volunteers has worked really hard to try out a lot of different things. So we've shown films, we've had lectures, we've had author visits, concerts. Last Friday, we had our first play there, and it's really been a very rewarding experience, and we feel like we have the bugs pretty much worked out, so we're ready to kind of take it to a higher level, and that's what we're asking for support this evening. That would be for honoraria, for some refreshments that have proven to help us further our mission of building community, and for promotions. And that's really what I have to talk to you about tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Curious that it's kind of similar, but the donations and tickets, you've had them in the past, but at least on what I have, there's no donations listed. When you've had in the previous years a pretty significant amount listed in donations, is that just a misprint, forgetful, or did everybody that likes you go away?
I don't know if we're seeing the same thing on the part
So
5
what I'm
budget.
seeing is perhaps the past budget information that you shared is your total operations budget. And then the application budget is just for the particular event.
Correct.
And so I think that's why it looks like like a big difference, as opposed to having comparable information just for the event that you've done in the past. We're looking at, a revenue of 142,000 versus 9,000, right? So it looks,
Right.
it
And
kind of stands out as a
And
little.
I also didn't even put the 9,000 in the total. So
Right.
Yeah.
I'm happy to prepare something. I did what was done in the past.
Yeah.
So
I
happy
think
to
it's mostly
prepare
just because of selecting a specific project on that first page as opposed to operational support, that seems to be what's changed and why the budget should be done a little bit differently. And so I think it would be useful to know, especially if you're talking about where what I understand Studio C probably wouldn't have a budget to share because it was kind of
correct. It's
piloted
new.
without one this last year. But then maybe if you do have information for the previous fundraising concerts, right, that would be
Yeah.
more useful
Okay.
to have, if that's possible. Any other questions for Lynn? I think we're good. Thanks so much,
Okay.
Lynn.
Thanks so much.
All right, Senior Variety Show is up next.
Good evening. My name is Jeanette Abrams. I do the grant writing. So it's still a process, making sure I have all the T's crossed and I's dotted for your form. So hopefully everything is pretty straightforward on there. We have just been so excited to be back since COVID, and I am happy to announce that we're within $100 of ticket sales compared to pre-COVID numbers.
Wow.
So, and if you consider our demographic of our performers all being over the age of 60, that's pretty significant. And we're also back to pre-COVID numbers for a number of performers as well. We've welcomed a lot of new performers, which has been a lot of fun. And it's always, I don't know, heartfelt to see the 90-year-olds up there doing their brand new tap dance routine, right? So they are definitely an inspiration. We, as always, want to thank you for your past support. As outlined in our applications this year, as well as years past, your support goes toward paying for the auditorium and for advertising. And unfortunately, the auditorium does go up every year. So we're trying to stay ahead of that because anything that's not used, aside from some seed money for the following year, we pay back to the community in grants. This year, between grants and honorariums, we gave away about $8,500. Our grant money went to the Heartland Senior Center, the Ecumenical Housing, Regency Retirement Residence, and Heart of Iowa Band. So those were our 4 projects this year. I don't think I have really anything else to add. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Did anybody get to go to the show this year? I always encourage you guys to come.
I
It's
did. I
on-
was out of town. I was very sad.
Yeah. We've got the dates set for next year. We're avoiding the fair next year. So we're
Okay.
hoping that will,
Yeah.
that will help with some of our attendance. So we're all good?
All right. Yep. We're good. Thank
Fantastic.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Friends of Ames Strings is up next.
Hello, I'm here representing Friends of Ames Strings this year, and we are 30, this will be our 35th season. We like to make sure that the Ames students who are participating in stringed orchestra at the grade school and middle school level can get through the summer without completely forgetting everything they learned during the school year, which is always a problem for many teachers. So in July every year we host, our number is about 80. We don't want to turn anybody away, so we try to cap it at about 80, and that's about the number we get. And students 4th through 8th grade come, and they get 3 hours a day of work with our conductors and our high school student coaches. And then we have 2 concerts at the end of the 2-week camp that are attended by over 400 people. Typically, we pretty much fill the large church over here by the library. And what we found is that the student, both the participation numbers and their engagement are really influenced by the quality of conductor that we're able to get. And we found a conductor who's willing to help us again this year. Would be his 3rd year with us, 4th year maybe. But the students really love him, and he does a fantastic job. And we want to make sure that we can keep him. So we are a volunteer-run organization, but we are asking for CODA support this year to help us make sure that we can attract the top-level conductors to come help our students again. And it was a challenge through COVID, but we got it done with a year of Zoom meetings, but we had not missed a year. And then I guess as I think it provides a good thing to note too, is it provides opportunities not just for 4th through 8th graders, but we also have a number of high school students that help out both as paid and volunteer coaches. And so many of the high school orchestra students also gain some experience from our event. And then this year we added performances at the Ames Farmers Market, which were well attended. So, and we've also in the past done a variety of other things like master classes or concerts at other times of the year than in July. So that's something we'd like to continue doing. So we'd like to thank you for your continued support.
Thank you so much. Any questions?
Good.
I think it's all good. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thank you.
Central Iowa Symphony is next.
Good evening. I would like to begin with a description of what the symphony is and then kind of play with it a bit. The Central Iowa Symphony is a community orchestra, united by a love of music and dedication to the arts of orchestral performance, whose collective goal is to foster quality performances, offer satisfying musical experiences, and nurture educational and cultural growth in Central Iowa. A community orchestra, I really didn't have a good idea of what a gem the Central Iowa Symphony is to Central Iowa, and especially here to the city of Ames. It's a community orchestra. It's just a very few people who develop a stipend or so, like the conductor. We generally put 50 to 55 dedicated musicians on stage, an excellent group. As a matter of fact, sometime I would really like the Des Moines Register to come up and run an article on it, because it's top notch. We're very fortunate to have the musical director and conductor. We have Eric McIntyre. Not only is he our conductor, he's also the head of the Grinnell Music Department. He has had some international experience. He writes music And he is willing to be our music director and conductor. That's just fabulous. You had a question here about, could we give you some kind of an idea of what we will be doing in the year 2024, 2025? And my answer is, I don't know. Now, if I was still in the service, I would have to say, I don't know, sir, but I'll find out. Our music director has quite a few music sources. He spends a lot of time putting things together. Sometimes it takes several months to realize, will this soloist come? Can he rent this music? In fact, because the rental company has it, and music rental is very expensive. So I thought what I would do instead is just give kind of a quick rundown for the season going on right now. Last October, it was called Chills and Thrills. I might add one thing, no matter how different types of music come in, you will always get a good, solid classical music piece, a Beethoven symphony, something by Mozart or so. What most people expect is classical music. But this, one of the things, Chills and Thrills, was the music that became Alfred Hitchcock's entry, and a few things like that. But again, there was a solid musical piece. And put this down, December the 2nd, which is a Saturday, the upcoming concert, it'll be right here in Ames City Auditorium, Chuckles and Laughs. One of the classical pieces, which is actually kind of humorous, it will be two cats having a duel. I believe the two cats are two sopranos. There will be two additional music instruments. One will be a typewriter, and another, since the conductor is very good as a hornist, he will be playing the garden hose. But as I said, we must have a good solid piece. One by Mozart will be a concerto. Always the hit of our March concert is a young artist competition and concert. Well, music teachers all around the state are invited to look at their best students. Go ahead and apply to go ahead and play with a Central Iowa Symphony. When that happens and the best are chosen at Simon Estes building, they're invited to play with the full orchestra, and the orchestra learns the audition piece which they have used. So it's really a great coming together, and especially to see the young people bringing in people who perhaps are not used to classical music or not used to actual being in the presence of classical music. It's a good, your best stereo system you've ever heard. And it's good, it's not WOI FM, to be actually present in that music. We see some of the young people coming in, their family, their friends, and all, perhaps their grandparents, perhaps their uncles, and they leave somewhat amazed that maybe this was the first exposure to good classical music they have had. And we're really happy about this. We and the Chamber Artists will produce a piece. This is the May concert. It's called Earth Symphony by Jake Runestad, which I believe this is either the first or second time this symphony has been performed with an orchestra and a choral group. With us and the Ames Chamber Artists, we will be having pretty close to 100 on stage. We intend to advertise this heavily, especially to get as many diverse kind of people from all this community in, to get people in those seats so they can actually hear this. I wish I could tell you what the upcoming season would be, 22, 24, 25, but our music director puts so much effort into it that maybe about April, I'll tell you. So if you're here in April, I don't know, sir, but I'll get you the information.
Thank you so much.
Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
You ever consider playing PDQ Bach?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chuckles and Laughs. In December, PDQ Bach will be played. It's not the 1812 Overture, it's the 1712 Overture. I've heard him live, and it's a bit different.
Yes.
And just remember, Saturday, December the 2nd at 7:30 in the City Auditorium here, but come 45 minutes early, because the conductor stands up, he tells you about the music. He tells you the era in which it was written, who the conductor was, in this part, listen for this instrument or so. And it's really an outstanding lesson in musicology.
Wonderful. Thank
And
you.
then finally, we really appreciate your support. You helped us to expand out. We are getting more underwriting for our concerts, but with your wonderful support and that underwriting, we're able to go a little bit higher. And that's why I say I wish I could tell you what the next season will be.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, up next is the Octagon Center for the Arts.
I had to play PDQ in high school. We only got our mouthpiece.
Hello, good evening. My name is Heather Johnson, the director at the Octagon Center for the Arts. And again, I just want to thank CODA for all your support for not only the Octagon, but various arts organizations. Still rebounding from the pandemic. I know it's made a great deal to organizations who relied on events for income. So thank you so much for your sustainability for the organizations. In January, the Octagon will celebrate its 58th year. We are really looking forward to expanding our outreach. This last year, we were able to do different sessions with Boys and Girls Club. We had 260 participants through that. And then we also had 120 students through YSS as well. So we've been trying to reach out more to the youth in the community with art outreach, as well as camps and activities that we can bring them to the Octagon where they may not have access to, like clay or other supplies too. So we've been trying to grow that as well. Over to the next in 24-25, we also will be excited to have the private artist studios open for the Octagon and different not only co-working, but private spaces as well through the Capital Arts grant through CODA too. So we should be finishing construction in January, finally. So we hope to have artists starting to move in February. We are working with the College of Design for BFA students who needed space. They needed studio space. So right now they're using a co-working open layout too. So we're really excited to have more energy in the building. And we hope too that we can recruit some of them for art teachers for some of this outreach that we want to do, or even classes for adults. We're looking forward to another big art festival. One of the highlights of that is we get to partner with a lot of the different community groups like CASA, KHOI Radio, Public Arts Commission, the City Museum. So we go on and on where we try to come together to celebrate the arts and culture here in Ames too. So that's always a really fun event that we can host. And we're really looking forward to about 10 exhibits for the upcoming 24-25 year. One of the highlights for that is the elementary, middle school, and high school exhibit that we invite about 7 or 8 area schools to participate from all ages. And so that's a real highlight too, to celebrate emerging artists in our community too. So, and of course we have the Octagon Shop that also promotes about 180 artists who may not have business savvy to kind of help promote their own artwork or price it or display it. So that is still one of our resources too that we provide in the community as well. So any questions?
I had a quick
Yes,
question.
Steve.
The total number of individuals comprising the audience you listed is 12,000.
Yes.
Does that include attendees to the?
That actually, no, that is not. We kept that separate. That's like through the building. Yeah, through the shop, through classes. So yeah, the good question.
How many did you have at the art festival? You manufactured beautiful weather, like you tend to do.
We kept getting calls
Yeah.
the night before from artists. We lucked out. The average is about, they're thinking about maybe 9,800. We're talking to people. It's hard to gauge because
Yeah.
we don't take attendance. We don't ask for admission fee too. So, but we know from the evaluation forms from artists, from vendors, from people that have been in many years, they said it's like one of the higher attendance that they've seen. So we'll take that. So
Great.
not exact number, but
Yeah.
everybody was very happy. So
Any other questions? No? All right, thanks, Heather.
thank you so much.
All right. Up next is Creative Artist Studios of Ames.
So we've been in operation since 01/01/01, and we have about 35 artists working at CASA. And it's a cooperative, and it's a nonprofit, and it's a all volunteer organization. And I would say most of those artists would not be artists if it weren't for CASA. We fill a niche that comes after you take classes to learn to do something, then what? And, there's a layer above that, which is you would be doing it anyway. We certainly have members that are in that category, like Greg, who would be an artist with or without CASA, but most of our members would not be artists if it weren't for CASA. So that's the niche we satisfy. And we're here to ask for help for an expansion. So we got a hold of some new territory in the building at the end of August and or end of September. And we've been fitting it out to be a fiber arts node and origami studio. Those two things are very complementary. And we've been in touch with a lot of other organizations around town that have fiber arts interest. We have been working closely with the Quilt Guild to help define the space and figure out what is a good set of things to have in there. I think they're going to be starting some regular meetings in our space, which allows them to expand the size of their groups over meeting in people's living rooms. And we've gotten some help from the brackets people that hang curtains and shades and some other places around. We've done some pretty good scrounging to get chairs, and we have tables. So, we're pretty well in a fairly fast-paced way up and running. We still have to move some furniture up from the basement, and that's kind of the next bottleneck. Our experience in building CASA in the first place is that our model is that people who are regular users, they provide both the income to pay the rent and the work to keep the engines running. And it takes time to build that up. When we first moved into our building, the church helped us with that because they had a building, didn't know what to do with it. And so they gave us a very low rent to start with. And we had a small number of people, and we were able to make ends meet. Well, they're not in the position to do that now. And so what we're running into with the new addition is that we have a sudden jump in our expenses and a gradual increase in our income to meet that. So we're looking for a little one-time help to make this thing take off fast and to help us also pay for publicity to reach out to people so that we can get it where people will know it's there.
I think so. I did have a question just about your budget, similar to a question that was asked earlier, but I think you just answered it. So perhaps on the front, maybe is this more about just the specific activity of opening the new addition as opposed to overall operational support?
Yeah, most of the time we manage to balance the studio fees that artists pay with the rent we pay, the membership fees that members pay with the expenses of operating the organization. And it's just that with this sudden jump in space, we have a sudden jump in the expense.
Yeah. Thank you. What other questions?
Just a comment. Your organization really feels that specific point in life of an artist. And I thank you for that.
Thank you.
I had a question about the other expenses. There's nothing itemized for the 320.
Oh, gosh. I think it was what was left over after I sorted out the other items, and would be fairly small stuff.
Okay.
There's always little things. I don't know if it's the toilet paper or what it was, but something.
Well, I know you haven't done anything with us for the last 4 or 5 years, but
We got one
We
little
don't-
grant to help us when we started out from you guys. We had to go through another organization because we weren't yet 501c3, but we did get a few $1,000s in the beginning. It made a big difference.
well, we don't have to be a one-off.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, if you're
Yeah.
self-supportive, great.
We-
But,
We like to be self-supporting, but we also like to make room for initiatives. And I guess we won't hesitate to come back if we have another initiative that would make a difference. But we like to balance things for everyday purposes.
Well, and I think even potentially it could just be helpful in reaching new artists too, as you have openings in your space by having a more regular annual connection with
Mhm.
CODA and this process, then it might open you up to just bringing in new artists to your organizations too.
Okay, great. I might add a personal note. I'm reading the list of all the people applying here. I think our family supports 12 at least of these
Yeah.
already. And I'm going, I want them to get it. I want them to, wait a minute, I want them to get it.
Yeah. It's true. But I always think it's good the more people that are asking, because it's going to show the city council how important the arts funding is in their annual budget. And so I would never, ever want people to not ask out of fear that they might be taking it away from someone else. Because I think the more we ask and the more we show year to year that the amount being asked for is increasing, the better all of the organizations are going to be in the long run.
All right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Thank you.
Because like,
Good
was
point.
it, we discussed a little earlier that we don't have, unlike our special grants, we don't have a set, we only have this amount.
Mhm.
You can ask us for whatever, and then it's up to, the mayor to go yes or no. So feel free.
Okay.
I mean, this isn't,
All right.
oh, we have to tweak numbers.
Excellent.
to-
Thank
to
you.
do
Well,
it,
we
so.
will certainly consider that very thoroughly.
Yeah.
As Brian glares at me.
No, just a correction. It's the city council.
City council.
Right.
yes,
Well,
right, yeah.
not the, okay. The mayor, not specifically.
But yes, just to explain that, they look at the total of all of the organizations that had asked for this fiscal year. This is why we ask you to present now before they've done their annual budgeting for the 2024-25
Got it.
fiscal year.
Got
So
it.
then they look at the total amount requested by everybody and say, this is the amount CODA has to kind of divide into those different
Good point.
requests.
Thank you.
So, yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Ames Town and Gown is up next.
I'm Bill Dillo, the treasurer of Ames Town and Gown. Ames Town and Gown is currently in its 74th season. So the season that we are looking at funding for is going to be our 75th. So longstanding organization in the community. We have a twofold mission. The part of the mission that is certainly most public facing is our series of 5 concerts, and we bring in nationally and internationally known artists. And last Friday night, we brought an ensemble from London, England, called the Castellan Quartet, and they presented the U.S. premiere of a work by a British composer that they had commissioned. And so that's only just one very small example of the caliber of artists and the unique things that are going on that side. The other side is outreach, and most of that outreach is directed at K-12 and university level. Some of that is in a regular classroom setting. So Castellan Quartet visited with Gilbert Middle School music students on Friday. The first ensemble we had this year, the Baltimore Consort, presented to 2 large lecture groups at Iowa State. We also do work with smaller groups. So season before last, we had a visiting ensemble where we had a special project grant for them to work with Ames Children's Choirs, and also Iowa State chipped in and they worked with Iowa State choral students. And then another part of that, our K through 12 outreach that's very important is targeted youth groups. So last year we had outreaches both to Boys and Girls Club and to YSS. Another part of outreach that we do, perhaps not quite as often, but it's certainly very important, is events that are open to the general public. And I'm very pleased to state that we're going to have a lecture by noted pianist and music history professor Michelle Kahn from the Curtis Institute of Music on the musical legacies of phenomenal women of color. And it is an area in 20th century music history that we've kind of forgotten about, and we're starting to learn more. So we're excited to have people like that coming into our community and presenting events that are going to be open. Collaboration of Iowa State lectures, but as you may know, those events are open to the general public. On the financial side of things, we are holding steady with contributions and with season subscriptions and attendance, but like many others have said tonight, costs are an issue. Our marketing and advertising costs have gone up A couple of items that are in the other category being lodging for artists. We contribute back to the Ames businesses by purchasing lodging for our artists, but those rates have gone up. Other things like the cost of printing tickets and programs. And again, we certainly appreciate CODA's support for many, many years, and also appreciate the general support from the city council that they continue to fund the CODA program. So any questions?
Any questions?
Answered.
I think that we're good. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
All right. Ames Chamber of the Des Moines Metro Opera. Chapter. I said chamber. Ames chapter. My apologies.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Vern Ketchum, one of the co-presidents of the Ames chapter. The other one is sitting out there. Well, first of all, on behalf of the writers, the Ames chapter, and DMO, we thank the Commissioner on the Arts for and other donors for the past for all the help given in past years to make the operas in Indianola accessible by bus. Many opera and fine arts fans in our community cannot drive to get to Ames from Indianola, and there aren't very many other ways to get there. And we are, as residents of Northcrest, are particularly aware of how important it is for senior citizens, whether guild members or not, to have the opportunity to ride the 7 shuttle buses between Ames and Indianola during the Summer Opera Festival. Plans have been made to market the buses to Ames citizens and other retirement homes, as well as students and anybody else who might be interested and would have trouble getting there on their own. And I'll be pleased to try and answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
No.
No? All right. I think that we don't need anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ames Chamber Artists. That's why I said chamber the last time. Sorry. I was like, they're just right on top of each other. So Ames Chamber Artists.
Good evening. I'm Larry Gleason. I'm the new development director for the Ames Chamber Artists. I've only been with the group for about a year, and I might be joined by Chris Johnson, who is the old treasurer, still treasurer, and you probably have seen in previous years. And we're very thankful for all the support that we have received over the years from CODA. And we are in an interesting period right now. I'm amazed at what's happening in terms of just the year that I've been here, in terms of growth, and not just in the size of the group, but in the audience reach, the outreach concerts, the just a number of things in terms of local composer works that have become part of the repertoire, and things of that sort. It's a wonderful group to be in. In terms of our budgeting, we now, in the last year, we started producing our own programs, and we cover all of our advertising costs, or all of our printing costs now with advertising that we go out. At the beginning of this new season, we actually went out to all of our performing members with a time and talent survey, and we have developed a number of volunteer teams that are helping us with a lot of the design of pieces. Again, I'm amazed at the amount of talent that's there besides just singing. And so we're covering a lot of our outsourced costs now with just volunteer work with our teams. And so, like I say, as a development director, I look forward to maybe asking for less money in the future, because I think we're building towards that. But at the same time, our audiences have been increasing significantly, which affects our printing costs and our other types of things. So, and and the size of our choir has increased, so their music costs, things of that sort, obviously go up at the same rate. So I'm open for any questions. If there's any serious financial ones, maybe Chris will be here, but I helped put together the entire grant proposal, so I think I can cover most of the questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
No.
I think you're off the hook. I think it was pretty well
Okay,
done.
easy.
So, yeah. All right. Thanks so much.
Yep.
All right. And Friends of Roosevelt Park is up next.
Hello, I'm Stacy Ross, Chair of Friends of Roosevelt Park, who has hosted a Roosevelt Summer Sundays concert series at Roosevelt Park since 2003. And this is our first year applying for CODA grant funding. And it's been a growth process for us over the last 20 years. And we're looking forward to continued growth as more and more people in Ames and surrounding area hear about our concerts and appreciate the value that we bring to the community. I know we've been able to, with increased contributions from our donor base and a few grants that we've achieved over the last couple of years, it has helped us raise the caliber of musicianship, and we're looking forward to doing that again, hopefully with the receipt of this grant. So I'm open to any questions you may have.
I just had a question. So it was the specific activity is then just one of the concerts in that 2024 summer season.
Yes.
Was the amount you requested, is that just kind of like an average of what, because I would imagine it's a different per.
We pay each performer a different amount
Yeah.
according to how large they are,
Yeah.
how far they're traveling, that kind of thing. I achieved this figure by communicating with some of the performers that we're keen on hiring, some bands that would travel from Eastern Iowa or a large band from Des Moines. We have a couple different options, and that would give us a good start, if not a complete coverage of that amount. So just the performance fees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Other questions?
Got it.
Any? No? All right. We're good.
Very
Thanks,
good.
Stacy.
Thank you so much.
All right. And Iowa Youth Ballet is last on our list, but we are ahead of schedule, so they're not here yet. So why don't we move ahead to item number 5 on our agenda, and then when they get here, we can go back to their application. So item 5 on our agenda is to approve the final grant amounts for the spring 2024 special projects. So we had 6 applications. We've all filled in the rankings based on our own preferences. So you have that average. So I guess maybe we just have a little bit of a discussion about whether we want to go with the averages across the board or not. I would just say, like, my thinking was, especially with the Des Moines Metro Opera Guild request, to not exceed the $1,000 that was advertised to organizations, and so that's why that's why my recommendation was to have that one be 1,000, and then I thought that small kind of starter money for Creative Artist Studio would help them with that advertising component of what they were hoping to get with their project, that then they come back to us to ask for money from the annual grant application for kind of the remainder of it. That was my thinking. And so I just would maybe like to have a little bit of a conversation about arguments for and or against exceeding that $1,000 grant limit, since we did communicate that in the the presentation that Brian did prior to receiving applications.
I think that's you and I.
Yeah.
That is you and you.
In my case, I plead that I was inattentive to the $1,000 limit.
Okay.
So I'm happy to either back down from that or make an exception.
I'm actually good with balancing it out as well.
Meaning,
I think when I was going through it, I also just kind of looked at what was in front, kind of balancing. It sounded like it would be a little bit more on the slightly more expensive side, which is why I granted that. But I'm good with keeping it at the advertised 1,000.
Yeah.
And then just move it. Excuse me.
And so
move,
then-
move the excess down.
okay. So then that would kind of change our ability to use the averages at all, I think. So would we want to, just because, and maybe this is more of a question for, I guess, Steve, or maybe because with the, you had the India Cultural Association at a lesser amount too. I'm trying to do the math.
I'm happy to keep it simple and move the excess down one.
Down, okay, to that, okay. So that would mean that our recommendations would be $1,000, a grant of $1,000 to the Des Moines Metro Opera Guild. Same with the Ames Desi Drama Association, the India Cultural Association, and the Ames Writers Collective. And then the Story Theater Company would be their full request at $800 and Creative Artist Studios at $428. Is that correct? I mean,
I'm sorry, can you say those one more time?
no. Catch all of that? So just start going in order that they're on the list. Des Moines Metro Opera Guild, $1,000.
Okay.
Creative Artist Studio of Ames, $428. Story Theater Company, $800.
Okay.
Ames Desi Drama Association, $1,000. India Cultural Association, $1,000. And Ames Writers Collective, $1,000. And I believe that gets us to our $5,228 total that we need to spend.
Right on.
Okay. And that's okay? That sounds good? Okay.
Works for me.
So then we just need a motion to approve with those changes, or approve those final amounts, I guess, for the spring special project grants.
So moved.
Thank you, Jaime.
I
And
will
a second. Thank you. All right. All those in favor of approving the Ames or the spring special project grants as Brian recorded and I dictated, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? All right. So they will be getting contacted from the city with information about that. The last item on our agenda, as we're kind of waiting for our last group, is that we do not have a meeting in December. It is, just for your reference, it's between now and our January meeting that we will get a dollar amount from the city council. And then that's when we'll kind of go back through all of these applications and the requested amounts that are made. The city manager's office does provide us with a wonderful Excel sheet, just like you've seen there, and the total amount. The things we're looking for there is recommending allocations for these applications, and then anything in the amount that the city council grants to CODA. Any amount that we don't designate is what becomes the funds we have for the fall and spring special projects. So we do tend to, with these applications, not allocate the full amount that is granted, because that becomes the CODA budget for the entire year. And so then that way, whatever we set aside is what allows us to give smaller grants for these projects and things that pop up unexpected. I'd say we're anywhere between $7,000 and $12,000 usually around what we save out of that overall allocation. But again, there's no magic number for that. And so it could definitely come from just your assessment of the applications as we've received them, and or what you think might be best for us to reserve on the side for those special projects. Yes.
Could I just add a little background while we're
Absolutely.
hanging out? So the spreadsheet that you'll get will include a lot more detail than you've seen for the spring and fall special project grants. It'll include historical allocations from previous years. And then another point that's worth noting is there's 21 applications this year, which is a lot. Last year there were only 19, but we had 2 agencies not request funds this year, and then 4 new requests this year. So you'll see on the spreadsheet that there are some organizations that are shown on there but requesting 0, because if you go back into the history, you'll see previously what was allocated to them. So there's a lot of shifting around that has gone on.
So there will be some recommendations of 0 because they've asked 0. Like if you're filling out that whole form.
Yeah, it'll
right?
be
So,
it'll be
yes.
zeroed out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if that line that says what they're requesting for that 24-25 fiscal year is a 0, then you don't have to consider anything for them, even if they had received CODA money in the past. Yeah. Any questions for you for that? After we come up with our final recommendations, which will be, that's the last item on number 6, is that our next meeting is January 8th, which is the second Monday because of the holiday. After that meeting, which is when we will finalize the recommendations for the annual grants, the 5 of us will divide up the responsibility of writing little mini kind of synopsis of the organization and what the funding will be used for. And that will inform the city of how to both write the contracts with the organizations, but then also to communicate just with the general public about who the organizations are and what the funding amount that they're receiving from CODA is. And so usually we just, someone's like, I'll take the first 5, and, we just kind of divide it up like that. Again, the city always gives us examples of things that were written in previous years for those organizations. And so that can be reused often or just edited, amended. So, all right. So Iowa Youth Ballet was scheduled at 6:40.
Are we sure the door is open downstairs?
It was.
That's a good question.
Well, I was sure it was open and then it wasn't. So. Oh, that's somebody leaving.
Yeah, that was Jen leaving.
Talking the front doors.
Yes.
I'll go check.
The door on the far right was open.
Okay.
That's all I got in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I do think we communicate. Let me check the application to be at least 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
The numbers on
Okay.
this application are like
They are. Yep.
we'd like to add.
Yes.
I did have a question for the group. There are, just on how we feel about it, there's a handful of organizations that when you look at their financial budget or their financial statements, they have a lot of, basically a lot of money for, nonprofit organizations, not saying that they're doing anything weird, but there are a few that are over the $100,000 mark. So I don't know.
It's still open.
I don't know if that's something that we want to take into consideration. And a couple of them almost look like an increase over the years. So I don't know if that's a concern that would affect our grant offers, or how much do we want to take that into consideration, I guess, versus what they're asking for.
I have a couple of thoughts, and my first is that I think primarily we should be concerned in that area with liquid assets, because I think it's wonderful for the arts organizations to own property in
Right.
Ames, and those assets aren't necessarily transferable to the things they're asking for our support
Right.
with.
And I was looking
yeah.
more at the liquid side,
Yeah.
because I know,
Yeah.
you're not going to sell your building to put on a show.
Yeah.
That's silly. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to the park, boys. So, but yeah, and it's something that I know that I've seen, the last couple of years that I've been curious about, and how we going forward, how do we want to handle something like that? I don't want to say no, you don't get anything, but it's how much are they asking for versus their actual need?
Yeah.
kind of a balance.
I think for me, it's hard to talk about in the abstract right now where we don't necessarily know how much we're going to be allocated from the city budget, because I think that significantly would impact how we might look at something like that. And so I think right now it's all kind of hypothetical, which I would hate to.
I don't think we can judge that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I mean, but I do think once we do get that allocation, as we're all individually revisiting these applications, I take it as a valid point to just revisit that part of the budget too, especially because we are going to be put in a position, I would assume so, but potentially not, city council, where we can't fund everybody fully based on
Right.
what they're asking, right? And so those who have a little bit more capital to fund their own initiatives, I think that's a valid thing to look at.
We should focus on the value of the request, how
Yeah.
much benefit the community is going to get out of that money, not necessarily how big the organization that requesting money is.
Which I think, like, to sum up the day, and maybe we call it, because we do ask organizations to come a little bit early. So I'll just have a 1-minute comment, and if it's 6:35, is that okay, Brian, if we close the meeting, or do we wait until 6:40?
I think it's your call.
Have we had a no-show in the last couple of years?
We have with this organization one time that I've been here.
Yeah.
4
I do remember
minutes.
that.
Yeah.
There is a phone number listed.
It's only 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, because if they're on the way, would make sense. Should I call on camera?
You take a recess.
Okay, let's take a recess and we will call our last organization. I don't have to hit the hammer thing, right? We'll just take a short recess. Lot to be here. So. Okay, so
We'll just have.
how do I bring us back from recess, Brian?
So you'll gavel us back in.
Okay.
We're back from recess, and,
And then
then
I'll close.
oh well.
There we are. Okay, so we are back from recess, and we're unable to get a hold of our last hearing applicant, and so we're going to make the decision to close the meeting. Any last words of, I don't know, wonder? intelligence, joy. I do like to say I love this meeting because I do think it's wonderful to hear about all of the wonderful art things that are happening and being organized in the city of Ames, and to be reminded of how vibrant the community is, and just as a personal experience of gratitude to be able to take all of that in. I really appreciate it. So, and thanks to all of the organizations for being here and talking about the work that they do. Yeah.
And it is, like Brian said, we had what, 4 new new groups coming.
Which is great.
Again, it's nice
Yeah.
to see new people coming in.
And people talking about new membership growth and other things too. So it's really, really wonderful.
Post-COVID
I
really
was gonna
seems
say,
to have
the
sprung back.
recovery from COVID.
Yeah.
It's really nice to hear that.
It's great. All right. With that, we will adjourn.